I would totally be open to shooting more projects like this, especially with you.
Well, speaking of which, hey, I'm Alex Robinson, and I'm the writer, director, and Cece of the short film Meatball.
Hi, I'm Christina Dobre, and I'm the director of photography of Meatball.
Today we're going to do a cinematic breakdown of Meatball for you, so enjoy. Just keep an open mind and think before you respond. Okay, you guys don't ever think. You just say things.
What do you mean, say things? We don't say nothing.
You guys just, I don't know, you don't really have a filter, you know.
Filter? What are you talking about?
We got a pool filter.
She thinks you guys are racists.
A lot of people were shocked to find out that it was shot with one camera.
Really?
Of course, that wasn't in the budget. We only had money for one. Not even really one. We probably only had money for a lens with nothing to attach it to. From your perspective, did you think that was going to be a challenge, or did you prefer to do it that way?
I actually prefer to do it that way because oftentimes if we don't have enough support or time, shooting with two cameras can actually just complicate things. It's splitting our G&E team. We have to light for two cameras. We have to frame for two cameras. And then we need two separate operators to make sure that we're doing that properly. Like in some scenarios, it works, maybe like on TV or etc. Maybe we have the space to do that. But for this film, it just didn't make sense. I think it would just overcomplicate things. And we were also already shooting such a tight space.
I think I'd get overwhelmed with having more than one camera and having more than one place to put my eyes. Whereas just with that one setup, you're focusing on the frame that's in front of you and nothing else. Speaking of cameras,
we shot this on the ARRI Alexa Mini on the Bausch & Lomb Super Baltars.
So when I approached you first about Meatball, I think I kind of told you that I wanted to make something that felt like reminiscent of like a mafia film, ex Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Even though there was a lot of chaos happening in the film, I still wanted it to feel really cozy and warm and inviting.
Yes. What I loved about the Super Baltars was that it just had a natural softness to the vintage lens that kind of felt reminiscent to Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or the other references we had. We wanted something that felt more vintage, more nostalgic, but still was sharp enough and had high quality too.
This shot was the first shot we filmed on the first day.
Having to light the talent and then go to an overhead of the table and then go back would have been such a big move for us because it required us to build an entire rig over top of the table and move the lighting that we already had set. It would have just been like such a waste of time on our end.
Yeah.
Plus we had our food already set, and if we had to do that later in the day, then the food might have also looked less fresh.
Yeah, this is when we see the food in the most detail, so it was like obviously we wanted it to be looking good. While on the topic of lighting, somebody else asked, can you talk about how you lit a dinner table with multiple characters?
When we talked about doing a dinner table scene and had all those references from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I really loved how David Mullen lit those scenes. So I actually reached out to him directly to see how he lit Marvelous Mrs. Maisel to see if he could give any pointers for our film. He told me actually on their projects, for the wides, they have the light high up so it can be evenly spread around the table. But then for the close-ups, he will lower it down so that it's more evenly and nicely lit. When we are in the wides, we lifted up our menace arms and made sure that our light was more evenly distributed between the characters. But then when we got to the close-ups, that's when we would drop it down and make sure that they didn't have any raccoon eyes. It's a little bit more flattering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there looking pretty. Since the entire film was shot at the table, I was trying to think of ways in the writing and in the camera to keep it interesting. So it would be banter, 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 joke, and then cut to the wide for a little bit of a breath and a step back from everybody. In that same vein, we introduced camera movement in this film strategically. So the first 4 or 5 minutes of the film, we're fully on sticks. As tension grows, we start to introduce, slow zooms, pans, finally to the moment when the meatball is thrown.
Your character is really vulnerable in the beginning and things still feel very safe and normal and she's trying to keep the peace. But then as things build and she gets more frustrated, it feels like the camera is really attached to her feelings. At the climax, we move to an easy rig and the camera is the most emotionally connected to how volatile the situation feels.
I wanted us to very quickly go back to the locked tripod look because I don't know if this is just an Italian-American thing, but families get over things very fast.
Yeah.
Things will happen, and then within seconds, they're moving on to the next conversation.
Yeah.
So that was a way to creatively emulate it, which was fun because I got to put little pieces of myself and my upbringing into it. And it's details like that that you don't think about that translate into the experience of this family. This is the first time we flip the camera and see from Cece's perspective. So I wanted the audience in that moment to be like I couldn't imagine coming out to that family, low-key.
So scary.
Yeah, they're really anticipating this news. Who knows what they're actually thinking? Switching the camera and reversing it and actually seeing it from her seat, I think was really fun.
We could really feel the anxiety and the intensity of them all watching her and like the judgment that they might have and the fear that she might have of what they could potentially say.
A lot of people don't really like when the actors look directly into the camera.
And breaking the fourth
Yeah,
wall.
I can understand it. For this shot, it felt super necessary.
I think so too. I think it makes the viewer feel uncomfortable, right? Because now we're breaking the fourth wall and everyone's looking at us. But that's exactly how we wanted them to feel.
What the hell are you doing?
Oh shit.
If we looked up an iMessage Meatball POV,
Yeah.
there'd probably be at least 20 texts from me
100%.
about it. There were two parts to making this shot work, and it was the throw with the meatball coming across the screen, and then it goes right into the POV shot, which was done practically. So when we were filming that shot, it was our gaffer, Maggie Brill, and yourself, like doing it in tandem, basically.
I was operating the dolly moving forward, and then Maggie was holding the drill underneath as I was moving. So we had to find the right pace to like what felt most natural.
Our original plan was we were actually going to make like a proper rig for it, I
Yeah.
think, but it just timing wise we just didn't have the ability to do that, so we kind of had to pivot.
Yeah, sometimes we just have to work with what we have. I've heard of people using a drill in a situation where you need something spinning on camera. We just had to figure out which way does the meatball need to spin in relation
I
to
know.
it flying towards their face.
I think it took us like 20 tries.
Yeah,
or so.
honestly, I feel like we did it faster than that even. Like we were like locked in on it once we started going for it.
We probably got the shot like much sooner, but I just was enjoying watching
It is
playback.
so funny.
You don't typically shoot comedies. Is that fair to say? Is that accurate?
It depends on the project.
Yeah.
Because I'm not open to comedies.
Sure.
But it's not necessarily a lighting style I naturally gravitate towards. For this story, because it's a coming of age story about a woman and topics that really I connect with, I think that is what drew me towards it as well.
Because I was curious what you think your takeaways of like the differences between shooting something more, obviously this is a dramatic comedy, but something that leans more comedic than dramatic.
Yeah, I feel like understanding how to light this in a way that feels safe and warm rather than something that feels a bit darker. Because we could have leaned into the darker side of how you're feeling in this film and make this feel visually darker. But that's not what we wanted. So that was a fun challenge. I feel like we were able to pull it off really well. I would totally be open to shooting more projects like this, especially with you.
Well, speaking of which, we're looking for investors to turn Meatball into a full-length feature film. Can you believe it? If it's not already abundantly clear, filmmaking is my entire life. And I can say with full confidence that I feel myself becoming a stronger storyteller and a better creative every single day. So the fact that there's an opportunity to showcase that growth in a full-length feature for a concept that I feel so passionately about means everything to me. So if you want to be a part of this journey and you are interested in investing in Meatball, there's a link in the description of this video that will lead you to a website that has a lot more information that I'm not providing to you right now because there's details and logistics and financial things that quite frankly I don't understand. And if you're curious what the film will be about, here's me pitching to Christina and the family Cece won't be able to.
That's messed up. That's so messed up.
I know. Just wanted to pop in here and say that. And thank you all for supporting Meatball and my career up until this point. Well, thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Chatting Meatball with me.
I love chatting Meatball.
Everybody thinks
so
it's
grateful for
Meatballs, and I try to tell them it's
Wait.
just the one.
Really?
Maybe the feature will be called Meatballs.
Meatballs would be hilarious.